Hello, beautiful. Welcome to day 5 of our 5 days of self-love. I have a cup of coffee. I made myself a rose latte because, as always, we'll be talking about roses. So I'm going to take a little sip of it. And today we are wrapping things up. And with that said, I want you to grab your journal, grab something that you want to sip on. I have my rose latte and a little bit of nettle tea, but you're welcome just to have some water. I want to make sure that you're hydrated because today, I don't want to say it's the most important day because every day is important, but this one just has a lot of really, really good information around it. And hopefully with as this challenge or journey went on, you're becoming more and more of an active participant in your life. And that really is the whole idea, is to take your higher self and to bring it alive, into focusing on activating your heart space, taking in different tools of self-care, of self-love, and actually incorporating them into your life, right? Because there's just so much information. There's so much information that we take in, but sometimes we forget to actually apply it, or we like apply it in our heads. But not actually in real life. And that's what I'm wanting to change. I want you to actually take the tools, apply them, try them, because that's the only way that you're going to figure out what works best for you. So let's do a little bit of a recap. In day 1, we're looking more at acceptance, right? At what area of life you actually want to break through. What is it that it's not necessarily where you want it to be? And finding 3 things in your life that you can accept right now, even if you're not 100% content or pleased with where they are right now. In day 2, we learned about the aphrodisiac and utilizing the herbs and the foods and spices and adding things into our life that will actually enhance our experience, our sensuality, our sexuality, and let us take or aid us in taking it to the next level. In day 3, you found out your love language and figured out what is the best way that you can receive love from yourself, whether that was pampering yourself, taking yourself out for coffee, taking yoga class, depending on what self-language you have, but really finding it out and not so much focusing on expecting the other person to give that to you, but rather find ways that you can show your self-love in the best way that you actually receive. Day 4 is more of a self-exploration. So you do need to know yourself for yourself to actually love yourself. So you want to kind of find the blocks around your body, finding if there's any shame, finding things that are your favorites. So often, I mean, even during dating, or when you have a friend, or when you have a new friend, or even if you have a friend for years, but you're just wanting to know more about them, you wonder about, like, what's your favorite color? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's your favorite dish? What's your favorite type of cuisine? Have you ever taken a mirror and actually like explored part of yourself that you normally don't necessarily see in a mirror, when you're like brushing your teeth? Have you looked at your vulva? Have you actually like looked at it to see like, how does mine look? But also taking a anatomical structure picture and being like, I want to see how this looks on myself. And I will say most women have not done that. Most women get the general idea of things and how they work there, but not to the basic depth that it actually should be. And that's not to say that it's our fault, because we're just not encouraged to do it. There's a lot of shame. There is a lot of guilt in the fact of like touching yourself, exploring yourself, rather than showing the acceptance and love. And so that's what they for. Yes, day 4 was about. And now we are on day 5. So all of these things really are just to support your daily success, right? So it's really here to bring out the best in you, to bring that higher self alive, kind of how I said, like activating that heart space and we're talking what, 10 15 minutes out of your day to have some kind of a self-care and self-love ritual. And that can be different thing to everyone, right? Kind of how we talked about, that was day 2, right? With the love languages. But you can have EFT tapping, you can do meditation, you can do intentional walking, you can do movement, you can do silence, you can do prayer, you can go out for coffee, anything. But taking a conscious moment out of your day to be like, hello, body, hello, self, I love you. How can I show this to you today? How can I show this to you right now? And genuinely committing to doing that every single day, every single week, and not just giving to everyone else around you or in your family or in your friendship or at work, and then having your own cup just be empty, right? So your mind is very comfortable and safe with the very same pattern, with the idea and the thought up until now, because you're here now. But it's that comfortable space, right? It's those habits, it's those thoughts, it's those patterns that we're doing every single day. And when it comes to letting go of those unwanted habits and actually building new ones, it asks you to dig deeper into gentleness and patience, because letting go of those habits is not necessarily the easiest thing for everyone, right? It's something that you have done for days, for months, for years on time. And now here we come and shake things up. And we're like, you know what? This is actually not serving me in the long run. So today we're also going to talk about reprogramming the mind, which is extremely, extremely important. It's actually crucial in the self-love journey, as or because all of us have some thoughts that arise, for some more than others, that are not kind, that are not gentle, that are not patient to ourselves. There are things that we would never even say to a person that we consider an acquaintance or a good friend, or a, no, I want to say bad friend, because is that a friend? But to anyone else, we would never say it, or even like have thought of that. And with not even a blink of an eye, we think that self to ourselves. We say that things to ourselves, right? So it's undoing that lifetime of reactions. And it is possible. However, it will require focus and intentional effort for that to happen, right? But if you want to change your results, you need to change your behavior. So again, kind of taking a second to think about, where am I right now? Where do I want to be? And when we know better, we do better, because those beliefs create and those beliefs destroy, right? So taking an inventory of what are you wanting to change. And so today, with the reprogramming the mind, we're really going to focus on your thoughts / beliefs about things. Okay, 1 second. Let's all take a nice little sip of whatever it is that you're drinking. I'm telling you, coffee is like my thing that I give myself almost every day, not every day. And I give myself time with it. I put all my intention when making it or when buying it. And it's just like a little thing that makes me feel really loved. So, or especially if somebody else makes me coffee, you know. Okay, so let's focus on the reprogramming the mind, right? So we have these thoughts or beliefs about ourselves, about our life, about our body, that are, long story short, not fucking serving us. And it has gotten you nowhere. Okay, let's just be honest about this. A, you are watching this for a reason. B, there's something in your life that you're wanting to change or improve a little bit or tweak. And not to say that it is a bad or this is a shame thing to have. It's just like, you know what, I noticed this thought that I have about my body, and I don't want to have it anymore. Like, I don't want to live in this self-hate and self-criticism and self-judgment. Like, I'm fucking over it. I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about my example for it, but we're kind of going to go through the steps, right? So first thing is first, you got to be conscious about it, right? So you got to recognize the thought when it pops up. And that thought can be when you're putting on your jeans and you're just like, oh my God, like my body's just like not where I want it to be. Like, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I look horrible in this. Like when you put on some clothes, step on the scale and you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how is this how much I weigh? When you put foundation on your face, even though by the way it's not good for you, but if you're putting foundation on your face and being just like, why can't I find, like, my skin is so fucked up that like I can't even find the right shade of foundation or some kind of cover up that will blend nicely in my face. When you make something and it doesn't turn out good and you're just like, I'm a fucking failure, like I can't do anything that will actually flourish. When you try different business ideas and they are just not where you want them to be, and again you think of just like, am I not worthy, like I'm a failure, this is not working out for me, why is it working out for everyone else and not for me? So again, step one, recognizing that thought. By the way, today I don't know if you guys can hear, but you're going to hear a lot of airplanes because for the first time in I don't know how long, it's fucking sunny in Walla Walla. Okay. And when it's sunny, a lot of people here have, like, I don't know how to call them. They're planes, private planes. I don't know. And they all just like go and fly in the air. Anytime there is sun outside, especially because we're like in the middle of winter, there's just airplanes everywhere, which is just bizarre to me, but I'm just not used to it. With that said, most likely you're going to hear quite a bit of airplanes. Maybe. I don't know if it actually picks up that or not. So anyway, you're going to recognize the thought. Step 2, how do you feel about that thought? How do you feel about it? Do you feel good about it? Probably not. Do you feel bad about it? And probably yes. And don't leave it at just at that. So if you feel bad, how do you feel? Do you feel shame? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel, again, like a failure of just like, oh, why is this thought like just hunting me, sticking with me? But exploring your feelings about it. And then what do you do when you feel or how you feel about that thought? So when you explore how you feel about that thought, what do? Do you just move on with your day? Do you kind of go into the spiral of like, it just gets worse and worse and you just continue thinking terrible things about this situation, about this part of your body, or this whatever is happening? And can you, if you could interrupt this process, then you could reword that thought, right? So instead of spiraling, instead of doing this, but being like, okay, I have this thought, how does it make me feel? What do I do now? Let me go ahead and interrupt it. Because usually the what do I do now is not a positive thing for yourself, a kind thing to yourself, unless you're doing this activity and you're just like, okay, what do I do now? I'm actually exploring it, right? So you want to interrupt that process of going into this deep hole and rewarding yourself, or rewarding the thought or that belief. You're choosing a different response, right? You're shifting the emotional response. And it's not to say that it's easy, and it's not to say that you do it once and it's just like all of a sudden it's solved. But when you think about yourself, like, I'm very, I'm working through being very self-conscious about for years is how my abdomen looks, I have rolls, literally, and I feel very insecure about them. And so often, I will have the thought of like, I'm fat, look at these rolls, like this is disgusting, things like that. So when it pops up, I'm like, how does it make me feel? Actually, it makes me feel shitty. And it makes me feel disappointed in myself because I've been doing this work for a while. And while I mean like years, over a decade at this point, and I'm still having those thoughts. And this is not to discourage you that like this is never going to end, but this is me. This is real life. It's not something that is fixed. But now when I have it, I choose to interrupt it and fucking reward it. And by reward, meaning not like reward as in like a gift for doing something good, reward as in like transforming the thought or the sentence, if that makes sense. Sometimes with my accent, you hear things differently, and that's okay. So you are choosing a different response. So instead of doing that, I think to myself, like, this is where I am right now. This is how I look right now. And that's okay. And I'm doing things, A, to improve myself. B, I love, especially because of the field that I'm in, I turn the physical, especially if I'm feeling something about a physical aspect of my body, of being like, this is the stomach that literally supports me sitting upright. Because if you have no core muscle or no core strength or no back strength, you're just going to plop over. There's so many people who can't just sit up straight without back support. Like they just have to lean back and just like, and they do it not because they want to be slouched, but most likely their core is weak. And so I'm like, I do have extra adipose tissue. I do have extra skin in that area. And that's because at some point I was way larger than I am right now. And when that adipose tissue was lost, it's still there, trust me, but some of it was lost. Now there's extra skin on me. And it kind of fucking is what it is, and I have to literally choose a different response, shift the emotional response, because I'm taking this quite negative thought and criticizing thought and shifting it into acceptance and gratefulness. And I'm doing this not to show you like, this is what I do, and you should be like me because I'm perfect and you should do better. But I'm showing it to you that because I want you to know that there is a possibility of shifting the emotional response to something that's happening to you, to a thought that you're having, to a belief that you're having. It is possible. It does require receptiveness and willingness. And it also requires acceptance that it's not going to be perfect every single time, and that it might not be solved in a month, and that for me, over a decade later, I still have the same thought, but how I respond to it is so different than it was because I shifted that emotional response. And the goal, obviously, is that eventually, when you have that thought, you won't have that feeling or that original response that you first had, right? So when it shows up again in the future, it doesn't have the same power that it used to have. Because again, it might show up again. I'm not telling you that it won't, and I'm not doing it to like discourage you. I'm just being realistic with you. And when it shows up, it doesn't have this power over you. It doesn't have the same force of power when it comes up, so that now it doesn't stir up all of these feelings, all of these emotions about yourself, or snowballs into a worse thing. Essentially, you notice it. How does this make me feel? What do I normally do? Interrupt it, reward it, shift the emotional response. And now, after you have listened to me, and hopefully you took notes on this, if you didn't, rewind. This is something genuinely, put it in your notes app, like on your phone, in your journal, whatever, somewhere where you are actually going to be able to look at it and apply it. Because me explaining it to you verbally is excellent, naturally, but it is nothing if you don't actually apply it. And I know I'm like a broken record with this, but it's because I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in my clients, I've seen it in my patients, I've seen it in my friends, my family, everyone else, and myself, to where you soak in, you take in all this amazing information, and then you don't do shit with it. And that is not how we'll transform. This is not how we'll actually going to shift into our lives. And so let's take a little coffee. I'm sorry, I actually really like it. So I'm like, I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy it with you guys. Cheers. Cheers to making it to day 5. Cheers to that, my fear. My friend, did I just say my fear? So one of the reasons why I love roses is they kind of how we said, you know, they have the highest frequency of a flower. They're beautiful, but they create a life metaphor for me that no other flower or thing or herb, I guess, has done. And some of the things that I say, you're like, well, you don't apply this to any other flower. I could, I genuinely feel very connected to roses. So when you think about it, roses have thorns, right? So when you are cutting roses, even when somebody hands you a rose and you get a thorn in your hand, right? Are you going to keep it there? No. First of all, when you first have like a splint, a thorn, whatever, everything in that area is like, it's like inflammation. And then all these cells, white cells, are coming in, trying to like cluster things and being like, oh my gosh, this has me created infection. And all this time they're just like, remove it, remove it, remove it, remove it, because it's something that is foreign in your body, right? Seen as danger. So if you have that thorn in you, once that thorn has been removed, everything around it that was clustered right there, everything that was around that thorn protecting that the tender piece of you begins to heal. And that thorn obviously is your negative belief system, your thoughts, your actions that are more self-destroying rather than self-loving and self-accepting. But you actually have to work on removing that thorn for it to get better, for it to heal. And so for me, because I'm a nerd and anatomy is like the love of my life, that makes complete sense. And the physiology of things. I was like, if you just keep on sticking this thorn into your body and being just like, you're not going to get anywhere. Actually, you're going to get an infection and you're going to have so much inflammation in your body. There's going to be a lot of other things that are just going to spiral off from it. So you are here to reclaim your vulnerability. The vulnerability of noticing, exploring yourself, your thought system, your belief system, your daily actions, actually taking an inventory. I know you know what you're doing. I know you're an adult. I'm just going to be honest. People expect you to know what you're doing when you're an adult. And I'm just like, are we just like all pretending we know what we're doing? Because I don't feel like I do. I don't feel like I do know what I'm doing, but not finding the beautiful balance of not seeing yourself as this project that constantly needs to be improved and there's always something wrong with you, because this is not to say that there is anything wrong with you. Remember, again, we're starting with acceptance and non-judgmental observation. But if you take inventory and observe and also accept where you are right now and have a vision for where you're wanting to be, it is perfectly okay to notice the things that are standing in your way, to notice those thoughts, to notice the beliefs, to notice things that are actually destroying you rather than help you bloom, rather than help you grow, rather than help you connect, whether that's with yourself or other people, right? And the biggest problem we have as people is that we don't think that we should have problems, right? And when you're going through something problematic, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like the worst thing in the world. I know I like to be very dramatic and I'm just like, why? But we have this belief system of, we shouldn't have problems and everything should be easy and let's just flow into our feminine. And there's some truth to it and some beauty to it. However, the issues that arise, even though they're not always pleasant, even though you don't always want to have them or go through them, they will help us grow, sculpt our soul, and they make us become more. They make us see that things are figure outable. I think it was Marie, you know who it is, starts with an F, and I cannot remember how to pronounce her last name, so I will not even try. But she has a whole book on it. But noticing that in the end of the day, I will figure it out one way or another. And it might not be pleasant, but I will figure it out. So just keeping that in mind, and keeping it in mind as we wrap this journey of self-love, being okay with the fact that sometimes people around you, people in your circle, people in your life, people in your heart, some of them, because not all, but some of them can feel threatened when you begin to level up, when you begin to not have the hangouts, well, where all you do is wine and wine, what we used to call it, where you actually have like wine and uplift, right? You go sipping on wine, but then you're not, all you're doing is talk about your life's issues. And if it's something that you need to speak about or, get it off your chest, it's completely different doing that than being stuck in this story to where you're saying this for like the 100th time and it's the same story that's just repeating itself, and you're hanging onto it for like so strongly that you just cannot loosen the grip, right? So let your inner child out. Write, meditate, talk, validate her, tell her that she's seen. I'm so sorry for what you have experienced. But again, taking the initiative of that acceptance, of exploration, of discovery. And a lot of this has to do with your inner child, right? Because again, once you know better, you do better. And that's the whole premise here, is taking the time to treat yourself like the love of your life. And think about when you are in the biggest, most passionate love with someone. You're so open to who they are. You're so forgiving. You're so empathetic, compassionate, understanding, supportive. So all of those things are amazing when you give it to someone else, but they're so much more amazing when you begin to give them to yourself. Sip. And so as you do this, just know that this is an invitation for this journey to start for you. It's an invitation to take little steps every day to really enhance your experience of your life, to enhance your love, your self-love primarily, but that always translates into more love everyone around you. And none of us are perfect at this. So the people that claim to be the gurus or the whatever, they're false. They're fake. I'm just gonna, it is what it is. We're all doing our best for right now, for this moment. And as you know more, you can do better. You can do more. And not more in that you're just doing things nonstop, more in adding more love to your life, right? Adding more self-care, adding more gentleness to yourself, patience for yourself, for things that are working out, for things that aren't working out. And again, trying to reprogram the thought and letting that be your daily practice. If there's nothing else that you got from this journey, let this be the one thing. The process of taking your thought and then shifting that emotional response and doing it over and over again. So then when it does fucking show up, it does not have that same power over you. That power is so much lessened. It doesn't feel like a threat. It doesn't feel like a fear. It doesn't generate this like snowball effect of bad things and bad thoughts continuing. Because this is your life, right? And so really choosing, how am I wanting to live this? How am I wanting to enhance my daily experience? How am I wanting to activate my heart? How am I protecting my heart that's actually in the long run not serving me? What am I doing daily? And are those things supporting me? Are they actually destroying me? And being so honest with yourself. And knowing that if you are unable to do this work by yourself, there's always people that can help you in this journey. I'm here to support you. There's plenty of different services that I provide. That is from coaching sessions to healing sessions, reconnection with the body, different courses. There's other people that can be helpful as far as that are life coaches, priestesses, mental health counselors and therapists, but people who can help you as you're going through it, so that you also know that you're not alone. And the things that you're experiencing, though they're unique in how you are perceiving them and how you are reacting to them and how you are internalizing them, we are all trying to walk each other home, right? And that's the most important thing. So, my love, thank you so much for joining me at this journey. I'm so proud of you, of just choosing this, committing to this, joining me. Because as I said before, I'm doing this myself. Even though I am teaching you on it, it's something that I'm going through as well. And I'm having to reapply it in my daily life. Because sometimes we just forget. And sometimes we need ourselves to remind ourselves of something. And yeah, I have so much love for you. And just know that you are supported. If you don't feel it in your physical world, I just took two words and just combined them. If you don't feel it in your physical world, do know that you are supported energetically. And that when you are ready to receive help, there are people who are here so ready to walk this journey with you. If this was helpful, leave a comment, shoot me an email. I would love to hear from you. Infinite love for you.